If you're struggling to make friends as an adult, I want you to know that you are not alone. That this is something that a lot of us have or maybe are struggling with. And it's a big deal because as social beings, we are wired for connection. There are almost 7 billion people in the world because we weren't meant to do this life thing alone. That we need people in our lives, but it's not always so easy, especially as an adult, to find and make and keep those really great friendships that we feel really great about ourselves when we are in them. And today I'm going to talk about why it can sometimes be hard to make friends as an adult and what we can do to start turning this one around. Because as our girl Barbara Streisand sang, people who need people are the luckiest people in the world. And I am going to spare you and not sing it, but you can look it up. If you haven't heard the song or if you haven't heard it in a while, go and have a listen. If you're new to me and this is the first time we're connecting, I am so glad you are here. And if you have been here before, I am so glad you are here. My name is Kristina, and I'm a registered clinical therapist, a researcher, a coach, and the creator of the Breakthrough Coaching Program. I have a master's degree in counseling psychology, and I work to help heart-centered go-getter men and women break through worry, anxiety, and self-doubt so they can get out of their heads, get into their lives, and love their lives. And depending on what's going on with you, why you might be having a harder time making friends as an adult. Maybe you've just moved to a new place, and I know there are some places in the world, some cities in the world where it's actually harder to make friends. And I live in Vancouver, and Vancouver is kind of known for being a place where it can be really hard to make friends, that people kind of have their cliques and they have their groups, and they're not always so welcoming and warm to new people. But it doesn't mean that it can't still happen. Or maybe it is that you're at a different stage in life. Maybe you've just had a baby and all of your friends are childless, and so you just don't have those people that really get what it's like to be a parent. Or maybe it is that you're single and all your friends are partnered up and they don't really, you don't really relate to them in the same way anymore. Or maybe it is that you've done a lot of your own personal development and a lot of your own work and you're feeling better and you've kind of even outgrown a lot of people in your life and you want to be around people that are in a similar stage of growth and development. You want people who are maybe more positive or maybe more uplifting or maybe more encouraging. Whatever the reason is, if you are struggling to make friends, then there are things that we can do, there are things we're going to talk about today that will help kind of get the ball rolling on this one. And I want to start by telling you a little bit of a story about myself and how this is a really personal thing for me. Because in all honesty, you guys, I don't really feel like I had like a solid group of friends until I was like 30 years old. And for some of you, that might be really shocking. And for some of you, you're like, yeah, like maybe I'm 40 or 50 and I've never had a really solid group of friends. And I'm going to tell you what I did to deal with this one, because I always wanted to have a really solid group of friends, but for some reason, it just didn't really happen. And I could go into details about why it wasn't happening and things that I was maybe doing to kind of sabotage that or to not put in the right amount of effort or the right kind of effort. But when I was pregnant with my first child, I decided that I did not want to be a new parent alone. And of my friends, so I've always had friends, but just not that like really tight, sort of solid like group of girlfriends, if you know what I mean. But I really wanted to have that. And I was the only one of my friends that was pregnant at that time. And so I decided that I wanted to find my like mom gang. I decided I didn't want to do this alone and I wanted to find women in my neighborhood, not just women, but women in my neighborhood who I could go through this first time parenting with. And so I'm going to be honest with you, when I was pregnant with my first child, I made my way around town. I got around. And I did all kinds of different things. I joined a prenatal class, not necessarily because I wanted to learn all the things about having a baby, because I kind of already knew because I'd done some other research and stuff. But it was good to know. But one of the biggest reasons why I joined the prenatal class was to try and meet other women in my neighborhood who were pregnant. And in all honesty, we did the prenatal class and it was great, but there wasn't really anyone in that class that I felt just like this connection with, this kindred kind of, automatic connection with. And so I was like, okay, that didn't go the way that I was hoping it would, but I'm not giving up because I am determined to find these women. I know they are out there. And so then I found out about a prenatal yoga class just down the street from my house. And I decided, I am going to start going to that every Saturday at noon. I'm going to start going to this prenatal yoga class. And I did. And I made it my mission and I made it my intention that whoever I was sitting next to, I would just strike up a really casual conversation, or at least I would acknowledge them and smile at them and say hi. And I did that. And for the first several weeks, the women who were sitting on either side of me, I just smile and say hello and maybe try to make a little bit of small talk. And a lot of them were not really interested in it. In all honesty, they weren't really interested in having, the chit chat. And you can tell pretty quickly if someone is interested and if they're not. And so I knew it wasn't personal because they didn't know me. I just realized that they just weren't interested for whatever reason. So that didn't stop me. I was like, okay, let's keep going because we are determined to make this happen. And then probably about the 5th or 6th yoga class that I went to, I met someone who was sitting beside me who was just as interested in making a connection as I was. And it turned out that she kind of knew a couple other people in the class, and a couple of those people knew a couple other people. And before long, we had formed our little mummy group. And there was 8 of us total that kind of came together through kind of different connections, and we were all living in the same neighborhood and all looking for the same thing. And these girls have become some of my nearest and dearest friends, and we have been through so much together. We all had our first babies within the first 6 months. We all had our second babies within a year of each other, and we've just been there for each other, and we've built these friendships. And we're very different people in a lot of ways, but we have decided and committed to being in each other's lives and making an effort and keeping those friendships alive. And so let's talk about this. Let's talk about how we make this happen and some of these steps and some of these things that we can do to build those friendships. Start with exactly what I was talking about, to get out and do things. Go and try things and do things and have experiences with people that are in a similar stage, either in a similar stage or have similar interests, like something that you're interested in. Go and do something. If it's a meetup group, if it's some kind of education class, if it's some kind of activity, if it's like running or knitting or a book club or a philosophy group or whatever it is, or a psychology club. Hello. That would have been sort of my next choice. If I, wasn't looking for moms, I would probably look for other psych junkies. But finding things that you're interested in and putting yourself out there. And I know it can sometimes feel hard and it can sometimes feel, a little bit uncomfortable to put yourself out in new situations, but it's worth it. It is worth it to have those friends, to have those people, and it's temporary, because as soon as you start to meet those people and make those friendships, you're not going to have to go out and be alone and kind of put yourself out there in those same kind of ways nearly as often. So maybe it's some short-term discomfort for long-term gain. So doing events, going to activities, going to meetup groups, going and being in places where the people who have similar interests, similar ideas, or even at a similar stage in life as you are going to be. Another thing that you can do is start to make some effort with coworkers. That a lot of us have jobs where we are with other people. And maybe we haven't really made much of an effort with those coworkers because we think, oh, they're just our coworkers. But what if we got to know some of them a little bit better and realize that these coworkers could also be friends? Is there someone that you work with that you kind of like, that you're like, I'm sort of drawn to that person and I kind of like them, and maybe I should make a little bit more of an effort with them and see what happens. Just see what happens. And that's the other thing about it when making friends, is to kind of check our expectations at the door. Instead of expecting that this person is going to be this everything to us and we're going to be bosom buddies right from the get-go, often that's not the way it works. Like anything in life, it takes work, that we have to invest, that we have to put effort in, that we have to let something build and grow. And that's the other thing to know about this, is that it takes time. That friendships, that those kind of people, these are the kind of people that I love having in my life. I don't know about you, but those people that you can do anything with and nothing with. So those people where they're always up for doing something, or they're people that are up, maybe not always up, but they're up for going out and having experiences and doing fun things. But they're also the people that you can sit and do nothing with. And for me, that's a sign of a good friend, where you can just sit and do nothing. You don't have to be doing something in order to be enjoying each other's company. So having the do nothing friends, and sometimes those relationships, they take time. They take time to build that emotional intimacy and that connection and that trust and that familiarity. But it does happen if we are willing to put the effort in. Which brings me to my next point, in that it's okay to sometimes be the person who's making more of an effort in the relationship. I think sometimes we get really caught up in like the tit for tat and like, ooh, like I texted her, I called her the last 3 times, or I'm the one initiated with him the last time, so now it's their turn. If you know that that person likes you and it's not some like weird thing where they're ghosting you or resisting you or, making you doubt whether or not they actually like you, if it's that you know that they like you, they just might not be someone who takes a lot of initiative. That just might not be them. And you can talk about it with them if you want to and be like, hey, I've noticed that I'm taking a lot of the initiative in the relationship, and I know that you like me, but I'd love it if sometimes you could plan something or, initiate something. You can have that conversation if you want. But it's actually okay to make more of an effort in a relationship as long as it doesn't make you feel icky or bad or make you question or doubt yourself. That everything doesn't always have to be equal in any relationship. Sometimes some people aren't as great at taking that initiative. And so if you like someone, if you are drawn to them, if you want to be friends with them, you can do what you can do to get that friendship going. And that's okay. The next thing is to strike up conversations with people, wherever you are. Maybe you're not someone that's super extroverted, and so that can be really uncomfortable, but even just smiling, sometimes even just a smile and a hi, if you're in a lineup at a grocery store, or if you're standing on a street corner, as long as it's not like weird and creepy, but just getting used to just saying hi to people. That we're all in this together. We're all on this earth together. We're all human beings. And it's okay to acknowledge other human beings. It makes the world a better place if we are seeing people, if we are acknowledging people. And oftentimes that can turn into something, a little bit of a chit chat or a little bit of a conversation, and you never know where that's going to go. So if you can, let yourself be open. Let yourself be open to life. Let yourself be open to experiences. Let yourself be open to the unknown and seeing where things go, which leads to the next one, which is about learning how to say yes. Learning how to just let ourselves be yes people, not going against our values or our morals or the things that are important to us, not compromising who we are, but letting ourselves try things. Letting ourselves experiment, letting ourselves step out of our comfort zone. And again, we talk about expectations, not having a bunch of expectations other than I'm going to have an experience. And I don't know what that experience is going to be, but if I can exchange expectations for experience, my life is going to be a whole lot more interesting and a whole lot more fun in a lot of ways, because we open ourselves up to the unknown. And oftentimes the unknown can bring really good things into our lives. And if it brings things that aren't so good, then we learn from them. And so there's no loss. There's just experiences. So opening ourselves up, saying yes, trying things. And as I was talking before, knowing that relationships take time and effort. And like anything that's worth having, it does. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes effort, it takes intention, and that's okay. So letting ourselves be patient. Some relationships that are worth having do take time to grow. They need to be nurtured. They need to be given intention to and attention to in order to grow. And then the next thing that we really need to talk about, because this is a big one, is to not worry so much about fitting in. Because what fitting in is fitting in is about me trying to be who I think you want me to be so that you will like me. And so then we are not actually being ourselves. We are being these made up version of ourselves that we think other people want us to be. And so if they actually do like us, they don't actually like us because we're not being us. And a lot of us are doing this. A lot of us are trying to be who and how we think other people want us to be, and it's not who we are. And it doesn't actually feel good to be in a relationship with someone when we are pretending to be someone or something else, because it's not a genuine connection. So what do we do instead? Instead of fitting in, and what we all genuinely want and why we try to fit in is because ultimately what we want is to belong. What we want is to belong, and belonging is about being who I am and being loved and valued and appreciated for that. And so getting around, finding those people, letting yourself, get around, test out, try out different relationships, see where you and with who you feel comfortable and good about yourself, that you don't feel like you have to apologize for who you are. You don't feel like you have to be something else, where you just come away from being with those people feeling like, I feel good about me and I really like them. And letting yourself be selective and find those people. It doesn't mean that we write someone off the first time we meet them if they don't make us feel amazing, but checking in with yourself and asking yourself, does this friendship feel good? And do they feel good when they're with me? Is it this mutually beneficial connection where we both come away feeling good about who we are? And letting yourself be selective with that. And something else that you really need to know is that if you like someone and they don't seem all that interested in being friends with you, as hard as it is to not take it personally, because you don't know what they have going on. You don't know what they're dealing with. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know why. And so telling yourself that it's because you suck or you're no good or no one likes you or any other story that ends with you feeling like crap about yourself is not helpful. And so what you need to do is you need to move along, and you need to keep moving along until you find that person or those people who are on the same page, until you find those people that you want to set up camp with. And I know that struggling with finding those really good adult friends can take a toll on our self-esteem. It can make us question and doubt ourselves. And so I have a free download for you. That's my 5 favorite healthy reminders. And these are things that I pull out and that I go through and that I remind myself of when I'm feeling off, when I'm not feeling my best. And it's amazing how just some of these reminders and reminding ourselves of some of these things can really start to turn things around and can get us into a better headspace and a better emotional space. So make sure you grab that. And also in my next video, I'm going to be talking about how to be likable and magnetic, and just these little things, these little tweaks and these little just things that we can do that naturally draw people to us more easily. And so make sure you watch for that as well. If you know of someone who might be struggling with this, can I ask you to share this video with them? And then let me know in the comment section below if you shared it out so that I can thank you for that. I'd also love it if you liked the video to hit the like button and to subscribe to the channel if you're new here so that we can stay connected. Come and join my Facebook group, goodformegroup.com. I'd love to see you there as well. And until next time, take good care.